You might be a property owner, but if you don't have the business, you've got nothing.
You've got nothing, yeah.
So the business drives the property value. Service station opens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a very high cash flow business, and that's what petrol stations have become. Consumer hubs.
Another episode of Brollcast and Beyond the Boardroom, where we take ourselves outside of Broll auctions and sales, and we look at broader issues and things having a knock-on effect and affecting the South African man in the street. Today we're going to be unlocking or unpacking the lack of transformation in the commercial real estate sector with a special focus on fuel station ownership. And joining us today, we've got Thendo Thenga, our fuel station and retail specialist, also wannabe pilot and ex-maths teacher. He's our guy on the ground. He's there dealing with everyone, buyers and sellers within the space. And we're going to call on you for your expertise today, Thendo, in terms of solving the issues of the lack of transformation. In terms of commercial, how important do you think mentorships in terms of bringing the youth up, the future generation, into making this an appealing industry for them to break into?
Yeah.
How important do you think that is, and how do you think we go about it?
Yeah, I think mentorship is very, very, very. I can't stress enough how how important it is, especially if you're talking about BE.
Yeah.
I think that is very, very crucial. Going back to my comment about a misconception about the industry, service station opens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a very high cash flow business. A truck comes in, offloads 1.5 M.
Sure.
Of your and there's hundreds of little transactions that are happening in and out. So mentorship is very key.
Yeah.
Building systems around how to operate a service station, key systems, and how because I've done quite a lot of rescue projects where and when you come to look at it, you just realize that the actually is that the business owner doesn't know their own business because they're an investor.
Yeah. Haven't got the right people within the right space and the right role.
Yes, and sometimes you do find that maybe employees become shareholders, and you don't blame them because that's what happens. It's the socioeconomic challenges
times that we live in
the country,
absolutely.
and so. Yeah, so mentorship is very key. Mainly, like I'm saying, understanding the overall macro space, understanding the local environment, how to internally how to operate the systems, and petrol stations are they're very resilient businesses.
Yes.
So they don't and that's why banks like them too. They shouldn't really not be making money.
Everybody needs a petrol.
Yeah, they should be making some money. A lot of the times, if there is a problem, a lot of the times it's because of mismanagement or something that has nothing to do with the business.
Yeah, is location key in terms of like with anything in real estate?
Yeah.
It's like, how important is location?
Location is optimal. Is very, very important. I think a petrol station is all about location.
So if we're talking to our potential investors out there, like, what makes it a great location for a fuel station or for fuel station ownership?
I think it's egress in, egress out, being able to easily come into drive in and very easily being able to
convenience basically for the consumer.
Yeah, that is very important, but over and above that, there also has to be an incentive for the consumer to come into the petrol station. So if there's a petrol station there, it doesn't really have much offering, and I've got another one who's got. So what's incentive?
I can get my pick and pay smart shopper points at a BP or
exactly, and that's what petrol stations have become. They've become consumer hubs.
Yeah.
You want to go there, fuel up, buy something, pay your DSTV. That's what they've become. It's all about, I don't want to, maybe because of load shedding now, jump in there and maybe work for a little bit, have coffee.
Yeah.
And that is the incentive. So if there isn't that, you don't really have, because if you don't, you might be a property owner, but if you don't have the business, you've got nothing.
You've got nothing, yeah.
So the business drives the property value.
Yeah, so in essence, this is a working asset. It's not just a residential house that can sit there and look pretty and have a family in it. This is an actual working asset that if you understand the fundamentals of business and entrepreneurship, you should be able to make a success out of it.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing with any commercial, real estate. You want, you're talking about leases. How long are the leases? How are you getting? And that drive the value of that property. So, and in petrol stations, we are talking volumes. So you need volumes.
Okay.
And like I'm saying, you need incentives for people to come in, make it easy for them. Why should I come and fuel up here?
Yeah.
What is the benefit for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Okay. And then are they affected, like other locations or the sites, the businesses themselves, are they affected by the fuel price and the fluctuations within that space?
Yeah. The fuel price is everything. Obviously, we're not immune to the macroeconomic, geopolitical environments. The petrol price in Saudi Arabia somewhere goes up or down, it will definitely affect us. So that was any business that will still affect us, and even more so because I believe 6% of our petroleum actually it's imported. With all refineries now shutting down, so we are even more volatile.
Sure.
So because we are not making our own fuel. So we have to get imported.
So we're really like at the mercy of the Brent crude price as well as the rand-dollar exchange.
Absolutely.
Ouch.
So
everything else facing us these days.
So we're not immune to all the other forces, economic forces acting on us.
And so going back to transformation, what is the ideal landscape look like in terms of fuel station ownership? Like, let's say in 10 years' time, if we all put our backs into it and get down and do the dirty work that needs to be done, what does the landscape look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a BE expert, but all I can say is that I just, number one, like I said, was that the guys that hold the biggest market share, the government, and all those other consortiums need to work together.
All the stakeholders.
Stakeholders. That is the only way it will work. And one of the misconceptions, I think, I don't know if it's a misconception, but I've noticed there's a whole bunch of. So right now, this is not even outside property, and there's a whole bunch of, because the industry is trying to perform. You have a whole lot of guys. Mainly the white folks who've been in the business for some time, and maybe some of the Indian guys, so they're coming out. And obviously now the government wants more people of color to come into the space. But I've noticed that there's a whole bunch. I've come across a big portion of guys who actually want to take part, who wants to take part in that process, and who actually believe in true transformation.
Yes.
Because there's so many challenges. That it becomes harder to, I'll give you an example. For example, there are some guys who would be like, okay, I've owned 5 sites, okay, and I've noticed that, okay, my manager's been here for some time, and I'd rather like to empower him or her.
Yeah.
But it's okay, they don't have capital, it's fun, but I've seen their potential. For the next 5 years, I'm happy for them to take part. I'm going to mentor them, and then in some way or form, as they work, instead of them getting a big fat check or whatever, they can slowly maybe pay that back. Some sort of
financial backing,
and there are a lot of guys like that who want to take part in that kind of schemes, who are very keen, and they've made their money. They feel that they want to give back. But unfortunately, there just isn't enough systems to facilitate and make that possible. So, and I have seen that, and I've met people like that. But in terms of the numbers, I think the focus should not be so much how much we need 50%.
Who should have what?
Yeah, it should be more about, okay, let's grassroots level, ground up. How can we work together seamlessly, and petrol station by petrol station, maybe oil co by oil co. And how can you work together to make this as seamless as possible? Obviously, there are challenges in that bureaucracy, also that we need to deal with, corporates and another agenda and their own strategy. And so there's a lot of things that needs to come together for that to happen. But I think the focus should be on that, not so much on we need 50% black.
The figures,
Yes. And I think naturally, it it will transform to go to the level
I think
that we need.
with anything, if you remove the barriers to entry,
Yes.
more people will naturally pull in
Yes,
and
yes.
want to invest in this critical sector.
Yes.
And that's vital for our economy. And obviously, if the man in the street who wants his little bar one at 2:00 in the morning, where do you go? You go to your local your little shop.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And have you got any like success stories that of people that you've sold to, that you've helped,
Yes,
within this space?
Yeah, I mean, the most recent was actually just down the road here, a BP just down the road here. Black guy, also in a black professional.
Okay.
Keen to get into the industry. He's now into the business.
Good.
So the plan being, I'm gonna own the space in terms of what's available, which is basically Coro.
Okay.
Coro, which is I'm gonna own the franchise, and as I, get more get into the business, then I'll hopefully buy property.
Oh, okay.
So it was more of an operation type of sale. So by the way, I should also say that a part of the biggest barrier, is especially the property side, is that the pricing they're quite high, and for the BE guys to come in as it's quite high for them.
Yeah.
So the long hanging fruit for them is to just buy operations, operate, get into the game, and then hopefully get into
to a point where you can actually then take over the site.
Yeah, take over the site or buy property sites.
Okay.
And
then hopefully then they've got the experience of the day to day.
The day to day.
Yeah.
The day to day. Yeah. So and I actually think that is where more BE guys can participate if they want to go into the fuel retail, and that is why I think as Brawl, there is probably some work that we can probably do there to facilitate there, and also get something out of it, because we work with these guys anyway.
So how's Mr. BP doing?
No, he's doing quite okay.
Is he loving it?
No, he's doing quite okay. And I've done quite a lot of especially operations. I've done quite a lot of operation sites. I think the guys are they're okay. I mean, they are. I think we can get the guys in to operate. And going back to your topic on mentorship, we have there's a good portion of BE guys that actually aren't doing well. So we managed to get them into the space, but they don't become sustainable. And one of the things, the biggest challenges is exactly that. There's lack of mentorship.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like they've been set up for failure type of thing. And I think that's also something to be cognizant of. That's actually what's happening. In fact, oil cos right now are actually struggling with that. They've got guys that they've empowered to come into the space, but because of lack of mentorship, they're unable to succeed. And there could be various forces, maybe lack of knowledge about the business. Maybe some of it is maybe capital. You come into a service station, you buy a service station, you use your life savings, your pension fund, and there's no other room. You don't have any more money for
growth.
And you're used to getting your 100,000 rand in some corporate job somewhere. Now you're here, and the business can only pay what you can afford. You start making bad decisions, or maybe you came in too lean. You're overgeared. So there are cases like that. And I think all companies are also recognizing that it is it's something that mentorship is something that is very key.
Well, you think that then drive that, because it's to their benefit to have these guys running successfully. Not just go, okay, well that site failed, we'll just put another person in there.
Yes. And I think that the biggest thing has been because the focus has been too much on gearing capital. So we'll fund you this, fund you that, but there's not been a focus on mentorship. Of
like, here's the actual tools to do this successfully.
This is how you actually do it, and continual mentorship. So you operate a site maybe for the next, 24 months, 3 years. There's actually an intentional strategy around how they can assist you and help you. And some of the oil cos have done this. They'll give you maybe consignment stock, whereby you don't have to buy fuel off the bat. They will provide you fuel. You sell, then debit, sell. And those are some of the things that some of the oil companies have done or are catching up to assist the guys so that they can remain operational, have more cash flow to
have liquidity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, there is something also in that a challenge right now that BE is currently facing, and we need solutions.
Yes, we do.
You know, and we need everyone's buy-in and everyone to work together so that we can make this really successful.
Actually push it properly.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Thendo. I appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man. Got some stock coming up for the next auction. So, yeah, thanks again for chatting to us. And, good luck in the fuel station space.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.